As Philadelphia 76ers fans, we should all be pretty aware of the term the process. It was a term coined by then at the time GM Sam Hinkie, which was an era of Philadelphia 76ers basketball that ran roughly from 2013 all the way to early 2017. It was a time period where Philadelphia 76ers unashamedly and directly tanked in order to get high draft picks year after year after year. And at the time, and still right now, it was considered to be a very controversial way to accrue draft picks and a very controversial way to rebuild a team. To be so upfront with not winning games and trying to lose games. Not intentionally, they weren't, like, the players weren't trying to lose, but the GM and upper management put together a team that had no real chance of winning year after year, and that's how they got draft picks. There's a lot of people who are against it, a lot of people who still support it. Now, at the time, I supported it. I did. For the 4 years, I was all for it because from 2002, after the finals appearance in 2001, this team was mired in mediocrity. Allen Iverson basically was the entire team for a good 6 to 7 years, and after that, they had the Iguodala era, they had the Evan Turner era, they had the Drew Holiday era. They just had a very mediocre basketball team whose upside was basically the second round of the NBA playoffs and no further. So I was all for this idea of tearing down the team, trading off all assets possible, all players on the roster as possible in order to get high draft picks in the future. And I believed in it, and I really did, because I thought that this team would be a very good team going forward and could potentially compete for championships. And the team is very good right now. They have plenty of great draft picks that did work out. For example, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons being the two most notable examples of this. Sorry, just screwed up talking right there. But I think it's very much a topic, and Sam Hinkie, it's very much a topic that is worthy of discussion now, considering where the team is at as we speak. And I just want to get this point across. This team originally tanked in 2013 because from 2002 to 2013, this team was mired in a long term idea of goodness and not greatness. They realized that we weren't going to get anywhere. This team was not good enough to go compete for titles. This team only had an upside of the second round and no further. So what they decided to do was tear everything down. So hopefully in the future there would be this championship juggernaut that would be able to make it the East Finals every year. They would be competing for titles every year. They would be close to getting titles every year. Well, now that we are 3 years past, the process was officially been over, and now the team is actually competing. I think it's very alarming that this team is still not really that good enough to win a title at this point. Sure, yeah, the team is still young, but you know who else was young and they still won titles despite the fact that their rebuilding eras quickly came to an end and they had to compete again? Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers, Tim Duncan and the San Antonio Spurs, Magic Johnson won a title his rookie year, Larry Bird won a title his second year in the league. I mean, if all these players can go and automatically win championships through being young players, then what is really the excuse of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and everybody on this team? For example, I was supported the idea of the process, and these guys are good players, but at some point you need to expect results from these guys. You just keep on saying that, hey, they'll be good 2 years from now. We don't know that they'll be good 2 years from now. Like, quite frankly, I want to win right now as we speak. There's only so much stock that you can put into the future, and before you realize that you're just going to be mediocre at the present, no matter where you are. And of course, some teams would be dying to be in the Sixers' shoes right now. Look at New York Knicks fans; they're probably dying to be in the Sixers' shoes. But this is a different thing altogether. This is an organization that openly said that we will suck for 4 years, 3 to 4 years, we will suck. but we will be amazing after that. Well, it's 3 years after 2017 when the process, when like them trying to lose officially stopped, and I've yet to see a truly amazing team. And granted, they still might get there eventually in the future, but as of right now, I don't really see it. And there were obviously many missteps along the way, both in terms of personnel and also drafting for the team. For example, in 2013, they got this guy, Nerlens Noel, who I got his jersey at the time because I was so hyped up about it, but that didn't really work out. He's just a big man who all he really does is block shots and catch lobs for his points. And of course, the argument goes to in 2013, you could have drafted Giannis Antetokounmpo at the time, the Greek Freak, and the team would have been way better off. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that because Giannis was a wild card. No one knew who he was. But you know who else was in the 2013 draft that the Sixers could have got? CJ McCollum. He would have been a better fit on this team, and he could probably still be on this team right now. Then there's 2015. They drafted Jahlil Okafor, one of the bigger 2010s NBA draft busts of the entire decade. And of course, the argument is they could have gotten Kristaps Porzingis, but also Porzingis was kind of a wild card at the time. He had this European guy, almost seemed Darko Milicic-esque, with how he's a big guy, but they didn't really know much about him, which is fine. But you know who else is on the board that would all also worked out pretty well? Devin Booker. Devin Booker would still have been a great role in this team. They could have gotten him, and he could still be on the team right now. Then there's 2017, where they not only drafted Markel Fultz, but they pulled a Mitch Trubisky and traded up to draft this guy who was just a nothing entity. Like he just was nothing. He almost seemed like he refused to play for the city. And they could obviously have gotten Jason Tatum. And can you imagine how good this team would be right now if they had used their brain and actually get Jason Tatum? They wouldn't have had to trade for Tobias Harris and pay him way more than money than he deserves. They wouldn't have had to go out and get Al Horford for the main reason why they got Al Horford was just so he wouldn't have to play against Embiid anymore. So as of right now, I would say that the process has been not a complete failure, but more of just a disappointment and a letdown thus far. Obviously, it can work out with not even just a title, but just a deep, deep playoff run that proves that all those 4 years of intentionally sucking and intentionally taking the fans' money and wasting their time for a team that had no intention of winning, it could pay off as something as deep as just a deep Eastern Conference Finals appearance, or just a season where it seems like this team is able to get over the hump and actually do something, even if they don't do it. I'm not going to sit here and demand that, oh, they need to win 6 or 7 or 8 championships in order for the process to be worth it. I would like a championship. I would even appreciate a finals appearance. Like for example, in 2001, that team did not win the championship, but they're still beloved in this city because of how much of an underdog they were and how entertaining they were to watch and how good of a story it was. It's the same way of like the 1993 Phillies and the 2010 Flyers. The fact that they were just an underdog team that had so much going for them. I would love to have a moment like that I could actually see live as an adult. So, as of right now, I just want to state my opinion that I'm not really that sold that the whole process there of the Sixers was worth it because the team as of right now is just so unbelievably frustrating, and it's really the same thing that they were before 2013, before decided to tear the whole thing down. They tore the whole thing down because they weren't good enough to get past the second round. And now that they're built back up, they're still not good enough to get past the second round. So really, what was worth it in the end? And obviously, I could be wrong. In 2020, if the season picks up, they can go to the finals. I'm hoping that happens. I'm hoping that happens. But as of right now, I gotta have to state my opinion and have to state facts. There, it's just frustrating when you see a team after a rebuild, that they seem like they have the world is their oyster. They can do whatever they want. The sky's the limit for them. And 3 years into their championship window, they just seem like a team that seems like the 2010s Memphis Grizzlies or the 2010s Los Angeles Clippers, where they're a good team. They're definitely a good team, but no one really looks at them as like true championship contenders. No one feels actually threatened by them that this Sixers team is actually going to go all the way and win a title. They're good. They're not great, which is a big indictment to a team that essentially threw 4 seasons in a row with the intention of being this juggernaut that the league had never seen before. So, anyway, I just wanted to get that across. I just wanted to get my opinion across again. So, I'll see you next time.